Boom, boom. Yeah, how's it going? How's it going? Yeah, it is I, TJ Taurai Jack. And welcome to 2021. Yeah, we survived 2020, isn't it? And if you don't know, we are talking about property on here. So it is a Saturday evening, 8 o'clock my time, and I did say that, we will come out live, coming straight to you. And I am not in the comfort of my house today. Load shedding has been hitting us there. So I decided that I'm going to be at the office this evening so that within the next 1 hour, you and I, we can be spending this time talking about anything and everything around real estate. So whilst you're watching me from wherever you're watching me, in the comments, just let me know where you're watching me from. That's number one, okay? And then number two, you can hit me up with the questions. Yeah, you can hit me up already with the questions. And I will get all of those questions. This is what we do on a Saturday. On the first Saturday of the month, I come out to you and we spend an hour, and within the next 58 minutes, 32 seconds, me and you, we are going to be spending this together, talking about anything and everything around real estate. So you can kind of like ask any question, like totally any questions. Ango TJ is going to answer that question to you, right? And let's start. Okay, let's start without wasting time. Where are you watching me from? And let me know. I am going to jump into my comments in here so that I can see that you are live and wherever you are, and you can check me out. So let's go on with the first questions. Actually, without wasting time, I've got a couple of questions that some other people have asked me, and I've got them on here. But that's not the point. The point is that whilst we are live on here, you can ask the questions, all right? So I make my time available so that you can ask the questions, and let's go on. And I just want to give a shout out to a couple of people that are joining us. So wherever you are watching us from, good morning to you, right? So I'm out in our office in Johannesburg, actually, and I actually didn't know that our office has so much noise, right? It looks like there is a pub somewhere close by, so it's a party, Baba. It's a party. Maybe when I'm done here, I might just keep going home and join the party. Who knows? Let's see what Genevieve has to say about that, right? We can just tell her that I told her right here. I didn't know that this happens in this neighborhood. Okay, good stuff. So I see a couple of people from Cape Town, good morning. I see a couple of people from Durban, good morning. Pretoria in the house, good morning. And someone is from Mpumalanga, good morning. And Limpopo, good morning to you. Okay, good stuff. And instead of saying maybe Cape Town or Durban or, giving us the big names, the metros, let's just go through into the actual suburb where you are watching me from. So, like for instance, if you're in Johannesburg, you say I'm Johannesburg CBD. If you are in Cape Town, let's say in Cape Town CBD, say I'm in Cape Town CBD. All right, good. So enough with the greetings. Let's start typing away all those questions. So it's a question, it's an open mic, and on open mic, I make myself available Saturday, one Saturday every month, and I come out and then I want to talk to you, okay? Now, the first question that I've got is, it comes through from a lady. And this lady here says to me, and her name is Tombikaya, right? And Tombikaya says to me, hey TJ, how's it going? I just wanted to ask you a question in terms of my marriage. Ooh, okay. And she says to me, she is married in community of property, and her husband is not really keen around this property, this investing thing. He's an engineer. He works in, she says, kind of like a shutdown. He works in a shutdown, and he's an electrician. So he works long hours, and when he comes home, he's very tired to talk about these things. I'm interested in property. What should I do? Okay. Well, that's an interesting question there. So I think I'm going to ask that question to say this. If I answer it off the cuff, I'd say, well, maybe you can go and divorce and marry again. That's an option. I have seen people who have done that in the name of property. But I've also seen other people that have divorced and then they've refused to get married. Yeah. So I suggest it might not be a wise idea. But the bottom line is that there is ways that you can do it. So one of the ways that I encourage other people is that I'm of the view that property investing is a family business. So at any given time, because of your marriage contract, you are bound to actually ask your husband, or should I say, to get consent from them each time you're getting credit. So all the credit providers they're going to ask of you. If you do it in a company and you're the director in that company, are the lenders going to ask of you? Not really, but yes. So what do I mean by not really? So if the company is making money and you don't need to stand surety around that company, then the answer is not really, because the company is standing on its own. But if the company is not standing on its own, you're going to be standing surety. It kind of like goes back to the first thing, which is you and your husband. So in that case, definitely it is a big yes that you do need your husband. The way I would approach it, if I were you, right, Tom Bekaya, if I were you, I would educate my husband. How do I educate my husband? I don't know. Maybe he's a reading guy. So if he's a reading guy, I'm going to give him some books, to get him excited about this thing around property. The other thing, if he's not one of those people who are the reading type, maybe he listens to stuff, right? So I'm going to buy him books that are kind of like audio books, or not even buy. There's lots of stuff on YouTube that you can get, and then you can send it through to him. And then obviously out of that, all you're doing here is you are raising the interest. That's what you're doing here, all right? And out of that, what it basically means is that when the interest is there, you can start going ahead to do it. Or I'm going to say, use the magic power of the woman and persuade the husband so that he can sign those documents. Well, we all have our magic powers. My Genevieve, she knows that I have got magic powers. And when those magic powers are out, it is difficult to resist anything at all. Well, what is the magic power? Potentially, it is a conversation that you need to have, a very heart-to-heart conversation, heart-to-heart or heart-to-heart, heart-to-heart or heart-to-heart conversation that you need to have, and be very serious about it, and maybe show him somewhere. Take him to another place where this thing has been done, or show him where other people are doing this. Because sometimes we don't know what we don't know because of our exposure. And you're saying that he's working in the mines or in the shutdown, whatever shutdown means. Potentially he doesn't see it. So when he comes home, he just wants to rest. So he's not thinking about that big picture that you've got. But the good thing is that you are actually here and you can actually be talking to him about it. I hope I've been of great help there. Let's jump on to another question. So the other question that I've got, this question comes through from a guy, and his name is Eugene. Hey, Eugene, how's it going? I'm hoping that you are listening. And Eugene is saying, I'm a 22-year-old. I work for a bank, and I've got some money, and I'm not so sure how to get started. Eugene, well, you work for the bank. That's where all the money is, brother. So let's get you started. Simply put, Eugene, my suggestion would be consume enough knowledge. You can never get wrong with knowledge. And out of that, you can learn on what is it that you want to do. Property is a big jungle. There's lots of things that you can do, and find what is interesting to you so that you can start doing it. A good start would be maybe at M5 Property Varsity. that would be a good start. They have a course that is called, or should I say, we've got a course that is called How to Get Started. And it gives you a wide array of things that you can learn how to do in terms of how do you identify opportunities, how to go and scan it out, how to calculate a good deal, and how you can also find financing around it. So that's the easy way in which I can say you can start. And if you're obviously following me, that's also another good start. So it basically means that you are seeing what I'm doing and you want to do exactly what I'm doing. So, hey, we've got an Empire Property Varsity. Plug into it, learn from it, and start doing stuff. Also, don't forget to get a mentor or a coach. Very important. When I started off myself back in the days, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I went into a class. From being in a class, I started consuming from YouTube, from books and things like that. And I went to buy my first property. I always say start small. Learn as fast as you can, grow as fast as you can, but start small. And that's exactly the recipe that I've used. And most of my students, they also do the same thing. I'm glad, I'm hoping that Eugene, that has been of help to you. And if you are watching, wherever you are watching me from, I urge you to already ask your questions. I am going to go to live questions at the moment. I'm just addressing some of the questions that have come through offline. Okay, good stuff. That was question number 2. Right, maybe let's go on into the comments and see who is online. Carlo, how's it going? Carlo, he is in Kapstadt. Carlo, my brother, how's it going? Good to see you and welcome. And if you're watching us obviously on YouTube right now, and you can literally copy the link and you can share it on your page, be it on Facebook or wherever it is, and we can get the conversation going with as many people as possible. And who else apart from Carlo? Mtolisi, how's it going? Mtolisi is from Debs. Yeah, Debs, how's it going? And Mtolisi has given us a few questions there that I'm going to jump in to answer as I go along. Okay, good stuff. Right, question number 3. Okay, I'm not going to count the questions, right? I'm just going to go and answer questions. I'm surprised, Carlo, you don't have any questions today. I am very much surprised. Okay, good. So let's go on and ask the other question. Someone says here, and their name is Tabo. Tabo says, hey, how's it, Uncle TJ? You know what? I'm a student, and I am a student in my final year, and I'm wondering whether I should become a estate agent. I want to become a property investor. Ooh. Okay, Tabo. All right, so those are 2 different things, Tabo. An estate agent is someone who goes out to look for property. They work for a company and they go out to look for properties, or potentially their company will have leads. All right, it's called leads. That's what it's called. And within these leads, what basically happens is that the estate agent now needs to take these and go and sell. So an estate agent is someone who goes and engage someone else who's wanting to sell their house. And out of that, what happens is they go and look for buyers. So you're kind of like not an investor if you're an estate agent. It's 2 different distinct individuals there. However, a property investor is actually one who goes out and buy these properties. So maybe maybe your question is actually to try to find out whether you can marry the 2. Can you be an estate agent whilst you're a property investor? I want to come back to that as well. But let's define. So we have defined an estate agent, and now we are defining a property investor. Now, as a property investor, you are investing in properties. So you buy them and maybe you rent them out, maybe you flip them, maybe you're a builder in terms of being a developer, all of those, right? So you're an investor, that's what you do. You're making money out of properties. As an estate agent, you're making money by getting an asset from someone else and you sell on their behalf. That's what you are. I have met many people, right, who were estate agents, and from there, they also became property investors. So you can be both, right? It's very much possible. Would I recommend that you become one? Oh, yeah, definitely. Why do I say that? It's because when you're a property in an estate agent, the likelihood of you going to get the deals first is very high, because obviously now you understand a particular area and you start seeing all of these opportunities coming up. And as and when these opportunities are coming up, I think it's very clear that you need to make it clear to your seller that you also buy properties yourself. So for that reason, there might be a conflict of interest there. But let's just say, right? Let's just say you're in an office, and in your office, there's about 30 estate agents. And within those 30 estate agents, you are one of them. And then there's a deal that comes through with one of the other estate agents. The likelihood of you now buying it or knowing about it before it goes to market is very high, because obviously these are your chums, isn't it? So out of that, you can already clinch the deal before it goes out into the public. So would I recommend for someone to be an estate agent? Of course, for that reason, yeah. Okay. The other reason I would recommend anyone to be an estate agent also, if you want to be an estate agent and become an investor, is as an estate agent, you get an income. So for instance, this guy here, they say they're a student and they just want to be in the property space. So you can be an estate agent, and out of that, what basically now happens is that because obviously you are now an estate agent, you're now getting an income, right? What do I mean by an income? It basically means that as being an estate agent, right, you get paid. So you get paid, and out of that, you start creating what I call a credit score, a credit report, credit score, and your credit score starts booming up. You're a student right now, so potentially you don't have any credits report, right? Your credit report could be zero right now. I don't know. But you can now start building your credit report. From building your credit report, you can now start also now go and buy properties, because the banks now wants to fund you because you got a good credit report. Does it make sense? Okay, I hope it makes sense. And over and above that, obviously, if you are employed as an estate agent, you might sell the big tickets. I don't know what are big tickets, maybe 2 million, 5 million, 10 million houses. And out of that, you get a lump sum. That lump sum, what can you do with it? You can then obviously invest in properties. So as a student, can you become a real estate agent? Is it advisable? Oh, yes, I totally agree. You can go and do that. I think that is a good thing to do. And also, over and above that, it's going to teach you the ins and the outs of the trade. But just be careful that you do not become those estate agents that just continuously chase the commission. Because I've met estate agents, and some of them, they have no idea on what property investment is all about. I actually have some estate agents that I'm teaching, right, on how to become property investors. So it's two different hats that you need to be wearing. And for that reason, you need to make sure that if whatever hat that you're going to be wearing, you're wearing it fully and you understand it, and is it helping the other hat that you want to wear? I hope so. Okay, good. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Let's go on to the comments and let's see who else has joined us. And we can see, I can see that there's quite a lot of people who are online, and those people haven't told us who they are. So greetings to you. And you can let us know in the comments where you're watching us from, and so that we can know, how much people, where else are we reaching out besides Cape Town and Durban, like some of the other guys in Limpopo and Mpumalanga, of the guys that were telling us. Those were the defined places that I could get. But let me go into maybe one question, right? For a live question that is on here. So Mkolisi says, I am planning to buy a property that I want to use for student accommodation, commune setup. Why commune setup? Okay, let's go ahead. It's just a random question. Do I need to rezone it? If I can, do I need to rezone it? If I can or need to use, if I need to use it for student accommodation, I won't be altering the house. Okay, good stuff. So Mtolisi, there is, I'm actually hanging out with a cool guy called Dumisani. And Dumisani, he's my town planner. He's been my town planner for the last year and a half or so. And he's a cool guy to hang out with. And if you don't have a town planner in Durban, I suggest you hang out with Dumisani as well. Why am I telling you about Dumisani? It's because, right, whenever you are doing student accommodation is a it's a special use of a property. So a property is generally utilized for residential, right? So depending on what property it is. So I'm going to take an assumption here that your property is a residence, right? It's a house, right? That's what I'm gathering from your statement there. I won't be altering the house. So great, yes, you won't be altering the house. But the house itself, each municipality has its own bylaws. What are bylaws? So each council and each area, you better report to a certain municipality. That's where your bill for rates and taxes and municipality bills comes from. They have what they call bylaws. Bylaws are what is supposed to happen in a particular area, okay? The do's and the don'ts, okay? And for that reason, I think in most neighborhoods, they generally are around between 8 to 10 people who are related can stay on one property. So why am I saying this? I want you to go and double check what does your bylaws for the area that you are in. Or preferably, if you don't know that, your town planner can indicate that to you, Dumisani, right? If you don't know who Dumisani is, I am going to throw in a link in the comment so that you can reach out to Dumisani. Okay. Now let's come back to the question. Do you need to rezone? Yes and no. Okay. Why do I say yes and no? If you are wanting, it's a house and you're not going to alter it, I would say no. I would say rather go to the council or engage with Dumisani, who can then go to the council on your behalf. And then what you do is you ask for a special consent for boarding, right? Or for student accommodation. So what he will do is he will go out and then prepare the documentation for you for the council and then submit it in the council. And out of that, you will have your special consent. Now, if you don't do that, what is going to happen? Right. If you don't get any complaints at all from your neighbors, look, for the next 5, 10 years, nothing will happen. If you so happen to get some complaints, what will happen is that the complaints that are going to go to council, the council will come in and then they will say, look, you're utilizing the property for the wrong use. Remember, it's supposed to be related parties staying there, right? Now you are making money out of it. So it's a business that you're making money out of it. And for that reason, they'll penalize you. So what they'll do, they'll give you a warning. And if you do not come back, and rectify it, they'll bump up your rates and tax. So if your rates and taxes were 500, they make it 1,000. And if you don't rectify it, they make it 2,000. If you don't rectify it again, they make it 10,000. If you don't rectify it, they make it 20,000. What are they doing? They're just wanting to put pressure so that you can correct it. Correcting it means, obviously, if you're now running a different use of the land on that property, all they're going to do is to increase your rates and taxes, maybe to about 1,000 rand. So without them having to bump it up again, I think it's just good to go to the council with the town planner, and your town planner can get the consent for you. Okay, good stuff. So I think, Mtolisa, that is a follow-up question. So I'm going to entertain it before I go on to my other questions. But I also want to say to those people that that have joined us just now, and if this is your first time to be here, welcome. My name is TJ, Taurai Jack, and on every Saturday we are here Sorry, not every Saturday, the first Saturday of the month, we are here talking anything and everything about property. And if you do have any questions are related to property, you can ask those questions. And what we do is we share a link, and on that link, it's a YouTube link, and you can already start asking the questions in the week when you start seeing the adverts and things like that. Or on a day like this one, you can jump in and you can ask the questions yourself. Okay, so look at it as Uncle TJ giving you some little bit of wisdom. And if you don't know me, I am the guy who wrote the book, From Bed Dead to Property Mogul. And that is the book there. It is a proper book that you can literally go online and you can buy it from my website, which is tauraijack.com. And you can get it yourself. So this book here, it's a free book, right? It is a book, like a proper book. Yeah, you can see that. I can deliver this book to you. And let me just give you the website where you can get the book now, right? It gets delivered to your doorstep and you get that book, right? And out of that, you can learn obviously out of that. All right, Tolisi, I am going to jump on to your next question because this sounds like it is a follow-up question before I jump on to my other questions that I've got. And by the way, if you're watching me from wherever you're watching me, you can give me your questions right now and I can answer them. Right, Tolisi says, do you mind sharing requirements for one to be accredited with NSFAS for student accommodation for a TVET college? Please advise which option is better, NSFAS students or private students. Okay, Tolisi. I actually have, in the property varsity, we actually have a course that is called student accommodation. I recommend that you get that course. Actually, it would be very good for you. And why do I say that? It is going to teach you from I know nothing about student accommodation to becoming a pro in student accommodation. And the person that runs the student accommodation for us is a lady called Rita. Last year alone, she managed to just over 350 students. And out of that, she has designed this course. Why did she design it? It's because she actually saw that when she was actually when we were trying to get our student accommodation in Cape Town and in Durban, we couldn't find this information. Simple things that you're asking here. We couldn't find it readily available. So all of that is within our course, and you can literally jump on in. But I'm going to cover your question though, and just telling you that there is more to what you are asking for here. And I want you to get all the necessary, information to make you successful. Is that all right, brother? I hope so. Right. So where can you get the course? Well, you can get the course on www.m5propertyvarsity.com. That's where you can get the course from. Okay. All right. That's the student accommodation course. All right. If you're a member for $297 as a member of the varsity, you can get that course in Tolisi for it's normally 6,000, right? But you get it at 600 Rand if you're a student in the varsity. So for 297, become a member, and out of that, you can buy your course for 600 Rand, and it's about maybe 14 hours of content that you can consume that is self-taught, okay? Self-taught. And if you also want to have Rita as your mentor, she is available. All right. Okay, let's talk about some of those. Let's jump into Tolisi's second question. And the question here is, do you mind sharing requirements for one to be accredited by NSFAS? Okay. So let's define. NSFAS is at this level here, and then the province is at this level, and then the university is at this level. What I've realized over the years is that NSFAS will have their minimum requirements. You can go to their website, and you can literally download their requirements. right? That's easy, right? We can spend the whole day here talking about their requirements, but you can read about their requirements, jump onto to their website. But why did I talk about NSFAS being here and province being here and then, the university being here? Sometimes what happens is that NSFAS requirements is at this level here, but the university that you are serving also might add one or two things for that particular area as their requirements. So what you want to do, policy, is over and above the NSFAS requirements, you need to actually contact the particular institution that you want to serve, right? So if you're talking about UKZN, right? So I've got a student accommodation just around the corner from UKZN. So you approach the university themselves and you ask for what are their requirements. And out of those requirements, you are now understanding NSFAS requirements for UKZN. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And for whatever TVET that you are wanting to serve, you want to approach that because there's general ones and then each one will obviously come with some. Some universities, they pay you directly, and in some areas, the NSFAS pays you directly. In some areas, I've seen that the students, NSFAS pays the students, and then the students pays you. So it's not a blanket answer. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say there. All right, good stuff. I hear someone else called T-Mac, Tafazwa, they are out in China. How's it going? And good stuff. Good to hear from you guys. Right, I am going to be answering another question that is on here. All right, let me jump into this question here. And for all the other people that are online who do not have any questions, why don't you have any questions? Remember, this is the show that we've put together, which is called Open Mic. Every Saturday, first Saturday of the month, we are here talking about your questions being answered by yours, truly me. Yes. Okay, good stuff. What gives me the qualifications to answer some of those questions? Well, I started off back in the days literally with nothing. I was in debt of around about 5 million. And out of it, I went to school, and from going to school, I started doing property. And on a very serious note, I was a young executive at the bank, working in Africa. And I left the bank to do property on a full time. And that's been 2 years ago. And out of that, I built a business which is called Empire Property Addicts with my partners. And I have grown this business now from nothing to around about 200 tenants and over 350 students. And potentially I could be doubling that number actually for students with my business partner, Reta. And we are in 4 cities, in Johannesburg, Durban, Cape Town. So I think I have something to share with you guys. And over and above that, obviously within the book that I wrote, those I think are the qualities that qualifies me to be talking about real estate. Have I been in this for too long? No, not at all. I've been in this game here for the last maybe about 5 to 6, going for my 6th year. On a very serious note, and out of it, I've been learning, implementing, learning and implementing. So I think that anyone can do it if you're serious about your journey. Okay, good stuff. Let's go on to another question. And this question here, someone is asking the question to say, hey, TJ, how's it going? And I work for a bank, or another person that works for a bank as well. However, I do not have much cash. What I want to do, I want to utilize hard cash from hard investors so that I can go in and buy my properties. Is it advisable to do that? Okay, how's it going? And this person here is called James. So James, I am not a financial advisor. I do not give any form of advice to anyone. I am here to just show you what I do and I talk about it, right? So in terms of advice, I would say that reach out to your property mentor or your property coach that will look into your circumstances on who you are, whether you are capable to actually manage what they call hard cash. What is hard cash? Hard cash is private money, okay? Private money is money that is outside the banking system. That's what he is talking about. That's what James is talking about here. So basically, and simply put, yes, you can, right? I want to speak about myself. When I started off, because I was in debt, 5 million in debt. But out of that, I understood how to work with private money. So I've got investors, right? And investors that gives me money. I know how to manage it. I've got a legal team that makes sure that all of this money that's coming in, it's got its own contracts. And then thereafter, I've got a very good accountant and a very good bookkeeper, and they are working hand in hand with Reta to make sure that all of this money is utilized for the rightful purposes. And all of my investors, they get their return, the return that they are looking for. And for every 100,000 that someone invests with us, well, we give them 14%, and I can guarantee that because of the properties that I now have. So I've got a bigger pool of properties, and I can guarantee that. Now, when you're starting off, do you want to do that? Well, maybe the answer is yes, but how do you do it? And I want to bring here the topic of the mentor. The mentor and the coach is a very important part because these are the people that are going to help you in your journey to identify your weaknesses and your strength. So yes, you're working at the bank, but we don't know your background. So maybe you're not good with finance, or maybe you are. Maybe you're good at communications, maybe you are. We don't know. The moment you start managing other people's money, or the moment that other people are giving you money, there is a level of expectation from these people that you are going to communicate to them on what's happening. And there's also a level of expectation that whatever that you've promised them, you're going to give them, right? So hard money is good, but it's also dangerous. Why do I say it's dangerous? I will give you an example. I've got a hard money lender. I've got a hard money lender. So what do I mean by a hard money lender? I've got a lender who is sort of a bank, but they're a very small bank out in Cape Town. And basically what they do is that they don't care the property that I'm bringing across. They don't care so many things. But of course, I had to date them for me to get to the level where I am now. But they are private funders, right? So what they do is that they will say to me, TJ, our loans don't go more than 7 years, right? So that's number one. They've got a requirement that their loan does not go over seven years. Now, their money is also expensive. All people that are going to give you private money, generally their money is expensive. So how much do I pay on their money? I pay around about between 14 to 15% on their money, right? So in 7 years, 14 to 15%, that's a lot of money. And especially if you are also paying in for the capital, right? So which means that for that reason, your payment plan to them is a lot of money. Should you bring in a good deal on the table, they don't care. In the next 7 years, they can give you the loan. Now, why did I say it's dangerous? It is dangerous because these guys here, if you do not pay them in 3 months, so they are not like the bank that's going to take another 6 months to say, hey, you haven't paid. We're taking the property for collections, and we're going to take the property for National Credit Act to rehabilitate you. After 1 year, you're still in the property. No, we're going to go into auction and things like that. No, they're not going to do that. In their contract, they've got a clause. In that clause, they say, if you don't pay us in 3 months' time, they have the right to sell the property. Boom. Simply put, finished, clap. Now, irrespective whether you're at year number 1, year number 4, year number 6, they don't care. They are going to sell the property to recoup what is theirs. Obviously, with all the other monies and whatever that will be due to them. So is it a good idea to then be working with hard money lenders like those ones? Yes, it is. I've utilized them. I keep on utilize them. What is the trick? The trick is to continuously be able to meet up to your obligations. What is the trick? The trick is to get good deals that can give you better yields than what the hard money lenders is going to look for, the private money that I'm talking about. But if you're still listening to today, or this recommendation here that I'm giving, I'm going to suggest to you that you need to get into, I've got a class, should I say a course that I've got, which is called Raising Private Money. And we're going to have a class on the 6th of March, right? So on the 6th of March, I am going to be in a class with people that are wanting to learn how to raise private money for your deals, right? So I do it. A lot of people know that I do it. And I want to be able to teach you so that you can do it successfully. And if you're keen, you can join on that class. And that class will be happening on the 6th of March. And for as little as 2,000 Rand, you can get all the knowledge and go and implement it successfully for yourself. Okay, good stuff. It's been amazing. Right. Someone is asking, let's go to Carlo. Carlo asked the question. So what I'm doing here, I am taking live questions and I'm also taking in the other questions, the offline questions. So I am trying to manage the two. But as I go along, let's go ahead. So Carlo asked the questions. Right. Okay. Okay. Carlo is saying that he has asked a few questions, but I don't see them in here. I only see from when we went live. So which means that there could be a problem there, maybe. All right. Okay. But Carlo, let me start answering these questions here that you've just put in here. And you asked the question, my mother has equity in a house. Oh, I like that. Right. It's in her personal name. What is the steps to take? What are the steps to take to extract it? Right. So Carlos' mother. Let's assume. Let's talk numbers here, right? And Carlo also goes on to ask the other question to say, what happens to the bond? Okay, good stuff. Right, we are 18 minutes into the finishing line, and if you haven't asked your questions, please do ask those questions now. I am just going to go through and answer all the questions that I'm seeing here on the live before I go and answer some of the questions that are offline. Okay, right. So Carlo, let's assume that your mother owns a house wherever you are staying in Cape Town, and she's been paying in a bond. This house is now worth 1 million Rand, and she is left with 100,000. So the equity is sitting at 900,000. The question that you're asking is, how can you extract this 900, right? That's the question that you're asking. Simply put, right, your mother can go and she can go to the bank and ask for a second bond. Most banks, they look at it as a second bond, okay? As a second bond, the money will be made available to her, and she can withdraw that and obviously do whatever she wants to do, but the bond obviously increases. So let's assume that she takes a bond now, a second bond on 900. What basically now needs to happen is that on that 900, it is now 1 million plus the 100,000. So the bond now is now sitting at, let's say, 10,000 Rand a month, if we're looking at 10% a year. But obviously the interest rates are a little bit lower now, so you could be paying around about 8,000 to 9,000 because the interest rates are less. So, which then means that number one, you can extract it as a second bond, that's one. And then number two, that 900,000 becomes available to you. And then number three, the bond obviously then increases to whatever you have taken through. In some cases, you can also go to the bank without asking for a second bond. So all you need to do is ask the bank to come and do an evaluation on the property, and then ask the bank to make the account a flexible account. So each bank, they call it different things. But basically, you want to have access to the difference on the property, what is being owed, and the value of the property, and they call that flexi. Most banks, they call it flexi bond. Flexi bond, it then basically means that, number one, the money that is in the flexi, the 900, okay? The 900,000 is now available to your mother. She can then access it as and when she pleases. So she can withdraw 50,000. So it basically means that on the next bond transaction, a bond is no longer 100,000, it's now 150. If she then extracts 500,000, what does it mean? It means that a bond now is now sitting at 650. So which is 500 plus the 50,000 plus the 100,000, and she can extract that as and when she wants to. So she has the flexibility of withdrawing that money. Does it make sense? I hope so. Now, the good question that we want to ask Carlo here is, Carlo, when that equity has been extracted, what then? What are you going to do? My suggestion would be, I would take that 500,000 and I would go and put it in another deal, potentially where I'm getting 10 grand, right? If I'm getting 10 grand on that deal, then I do know that of the 5,000, on the 500,000, I now need to pay back on the loan, but I'm actually making a bit of back from that. So you're making money twice. So that money is working harder for you. All right. And obviously for your mother. All right. Awesome stuff. Okay, let's go on with the questions. Right. Right. I am going to go on to answer one or two questions here. And still with Carlo. Carlo says, do you do student accommodation near Cape Town CBD like Woodstock too? No, I don't have anything there yet, Carlo. But if there is a good opportunity, I think Woodstock, but Woodstock is a little bit far from the Cape Town University. I think it's about 4 or 5 kilometers, isn't it? If I stand corrected. And that I wouldn't do it for that reason. So I basically want to be in a radius of anything less 3 kilometers for student accommodation to any institution. Why is that so? Is because obviously for a lot of students, they want to walk to school, cycle. As you know, not a lot of students have money and cars. So I really want to be very close to the institution. Or I would want to be in the route, bus route or something like that of the institution. Or I would want to be in the route of the institution. So some institutions, they offer transport. So I want to be on that route there. And that's where I would obviously look for my properties. And if I'm not in that space, then I wouldn't do, yeah, I wouldn't do student accommodation in any way, because it doesn't then make sense, you know. Like, yeah, none of the students wants to stay far. The students that wants to stay far from the res are those that are either, like, take for instance, doctors, you know, those that are coming in for their practicals, things like that. Those I have found to actually want to stay far away from their res, because now they're getting paid, they've got the money, but they wouldn't like to stay far, like let's say 10, 20 minutes away, that kind of thing. So they want to be in the vicinity, but potentially a little bit closer, but far in terms of privacy. So they don't want to be in the heart or in the hub of students' accommodation. They would want to be in the outskirts, if that makes sense. Yeah? Okay, cool. And besides, they now also make a little bit of money, so they can, you know, it's a lifestyle thing. Yeah. Ismail, how's it going? How's it going? So Ismail says to me, TJ, how's it going? Hi, TJ. I just want to ask, what are the pros and cons? Yeah. Of an installment sale agreement as compared to a bond agreement. Right. This is we need some coffee on this one, eh? Ismail. Right. So Ishmael says, what is the pros and cons of an installment sale? Let's define what is an installment sale. We got 10 minutes to go, so that's good stuff. I think this might be my last question or my second last question, okay? Because this one here is kind of a lengthy one to explain. An installment sale is limited to around about 5 years, and out of that, you also um, it's very negotiable with the person that you are buying from. So what is an installment sale? It's an agreement that you're going to be making between the seller and the buyer. So in this case, you're the buyer, and you can literally say to the person who's selling, I want to buy your property on installment sale. There's three things that I generally worry about on an installment sale. The first one is um, the installment sale it's got a guideline. So it's got a guideline in terms of what you can do. And there's three guidelines that I'm very cautious about in terms of an installment sale. The first one is the time frame. It's a 5-year time frame, so you can't go over five years. And within the same time frame, you can also then be able to. It says it mustn't be a minimum of 13 months and not be in a maximum of 5 years. Well, I've seen some other people that can do what is called back-to-back of an installment sale. So you do the first part of an installment sale in first 5 years, and then you do on the second. But by nature, it's supposed to be 13 months to 5 years. So that's the first thing, time. The second thing is that an installment sale is very clear around how many payments you should be making. It says a minimum of 2 payments, right? So which means that the maximum is boom, it's whatever, right? And then the third thing is that it needs to be registered within the next 3 months. The installment sale needs to be registered. And what is a bond, right? So we've just defined an installment sale, but what is a bond? A bond, you go to the bank, and at the bank, they're going to vet you whether you qualify for it or you don't. They say yay or nay, and you got a 20-year in general, a 20-year agreement in terms of timelines, and out of that you pay. Okay, so pros and cons. Let's talk about time frame. From a time frame perspective, installment sale it's shorter, installment sale longer. Flexibility, an installment sale is flexibility because you're talking to someone, so you can throw in things. You can say, I'll pay you maybe on 2 payments, one now and one in 5 years' time. So it's about you. How good are you on your negotiations? And what kind of a deal are you going into? That's the person. So there's lots of things that you can do in installment sale. So flexibility, boop, I give it to installment sale. On a bond, there's no flexibility there, right? Whatever you have to pay, you have to pay. Simply put, right? On the installment sale, in terms of interests, well, it depends on who you're talking to. On an installment sale, there might not be any interest at all. It's about negotiations. On a bond, well, there is an interest rate, and the interest rate might go up and down and things like that. So you benefit as it goes down, and obviously you're suffering as it's going up. All right. Pros and cons of an installment sale. If you don't pay or meet your obligations of an installment sale, you stand to lose everything. Yes, everything, right? But obviously, it depends on how your installment sale is crafted and whether it also gives leeway for if things go wrong, if you do not meet your obligation, okay? And over and above that, at the bank, well, the bank, they're going to repossess your property, they're going to sell it. We all know the stories. So I actually favor an installment sale. Why? Because of the flexibility around it. But that's me. I've done 2 very good installment sales that have landed me very good deals, right? The first installment sale that I ever did, I bought a property that was an extremely rundown property. I bought it for 700,000. I paid 50,000, and I did say to the person, I want to be the property for 14 months, and let me pay you the difference, which is 650 at month number 14. They agreed. and I moved in. So I just moved in by paying 50,000. Okay. Could I have done that with a bank? No. Right. So flexibility there, I was good. So within the next 13 months, I collected my rent, right? And that obviously helped me. So I got back my 50,000 because the property itself, I was collecting around about 35,000 on the property after I renovated it for around about 300,000, somewhere there. Yeah. So I collected the rent to myself. And then thereafter, I went to the bank and the bank gave me 2 million on the property. So installment sale, I have 5 installment sale. Okay, good. Right. I hope that makes sense in terms of pros and cons there, Ishmael. All right, good stuff. Hello, he is back. As an executive, how do we best communicate the company vision, purpose, strategy, outcomes to the professional team, which is your professional team, okay? Also, what do we look for when recruiting them? Okay. So I'm just going to talk about my team members on how I recruited them. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Hubert, he's my development partner, and he is a true partner to me. He's not just a professional service guy. And I worked with him on one project. And out of that, I realized that he had a skill that I've got, I don't have. And after about 2 big projects that we worked on together, I realized that, I actually work well with him and I like him as a person and I like the skill. And we started talking partnership, right? And another way that I can also say is when you're looking for professional services, people that you're not going to be partners with, give them a small job. That's how I recruit them. Give them a small job, and out of that small job, if they do it well, give them more work. If they give you more work and they start also valuing your relationship, that's how it is. So I've got a estate agent out in Cape Town. I was just about to drop a name, but I'm not going to do that because she is my estate agent. Yeah. She finds very good deals. And basically what I've done over the years, I've bought about 3 properties from her now, where she's literally going to find properties specifically for me, right? She knows my strategy. She knows what I'm doing. And she comes through and then she says, TJ, there is the property. Can I go and ask Rita to come and view this property? And boom, right? And they have got my property. So this property, you don't find it online. You don't find it anywhere, nothing. Is there a board on that property? Nothing, right? So for such kind of a person, she is a good team member. Did I recruit her? Yes. How? Very simply put, I asked her, hey, do you have any deals? This is what I'm looking for. She brought the first one. I didn't mess her around. I bought what she brought me because that's what she had asked. That's what I had asked her to bring through. Does it make sense? Good stuff. Okay, how can you communicate your vision and the purpose and your strategy? Whew. I actually never had any of those things. Strategy, purpose, vision. I didn't have all of those things when I started. I am a doer. So I started going out and I started getting deals. And I think it was about a year and a half ago when we started worrying about vision and purpose, because now we had more deals on the table, the team was more, so we needed obviously to align in terms of that. But when I was starting off, I was just doing, I didn't even worry about strategies and all of those things. I was just out there doing stuff, I was buying properties. So my one thing is don't get caught up in putting some of these things in place. Like for instance, recently there's a bank that asked me for a business plan, and I've never had a business plan for my business. I've just been buying properties, building the business. And actually, when was it? About 2 months ago, I had to contract someone to draw up a business plan for us. So I think some of these things or some of these Things, yes, I will say things. Um, they are needed, but are they serving you at that particular moment? If they're not, for me, I don't do them. I go on to chase what is bringing, what brings money onto the table, what brings value onto the table. So, what is my strategy to go to hunt? Yeah, then I want to do it. But do I have a strategy for my company and all of those things? No, I've only started to have them recently. So, Carla, I hope that I've helped you there. Apparently, there's a number of university branches opening. Yes, there is. Okay, do you mean in Woodstock? We need to talk, brother. Okay, so it is at the top of the hour. I am glad that me and you, we have spent some time together. And I just wanted to also mention that if you're one of those people that have properties in and around Johannesburg, in and around Cape Town, and you're looking for a property manager, I want to introduce you to guys to Frost Peak. And Frost Peak, they are our managing partner of all of our properties. They've been managing all of our properties rental for the last 3 years. They are well equipped. They have resources. The managing director there is Bevan Thomas. And if you're wanting to get someone to manage your properties, these guys here from Frost Peak, they will manage your property quite good. But if you've got any other questions that you've got, let me know. And yeah, we can talk about it. But other than that, yeah, that's it. That's what we are talking about tonight. All right. I'm hoping that you are going to have a good night. And obviously, if you're on YouTube, like we are on now, right now, there's plenty of other videos that you can learn from. So I want to thank you for those of you that have shared the video onto your platforms, for others people to also learn. So let's spread the word and let's get more people to learn about investing in property, or rather say, invest in themselves first, right? So that's the key. How do you start? Invest in yourself first. That's number one. And then number two, hang around with other people that are doing it. People like me, right? Hang out here on YouTube. And then thereafter, start small, grow fast, learn fast. It is ITJ. Let's check you out on the other videos that are on here.